Hey, what's up guys? Seamus here, back with another video. So in today's video, I wanted to sort of explain how Maritime College works because it gets very complicated. And if you're not in the school, it's kind of hard to understand the ins and outs. So I'm just going to make a little flow chart and just sort of explain how Maritime College works. So I'm going to start off with Reg and civilians. So regiment means regimental students and civilians just normal college students. So the civilians are just normal college students. They wear whatever they want. It's a regular college, regular public college. They have separate housing from the regimental kids. So they just go to their classes and they're basically normal college students. So the civilian majors are basically just normal college degrees, and I think that they do internships in the summer. You can check the school's website to double check on that. So Maritime College has a regiment of cadets, and it's the kids that wear the khakis, and it's what the school promotes as what Maritime College is. So the regiment was formed because if you want to get your Coast Guard license, the Coast Guard actually mandates that each maritime academy have a regiment. So the purpose of doing this was basically that you need to have some sort of structure on a ship, because if you can't respect your captain, your superiors, then the ship is just not going to function and operate. So the Coast Guard, if you look at the like what they've written, it actually mandates that there is a regiment in each maritime academy. So basically what the regiment is, it's a union of students, and it's structured. So it's like tiered. There's the top of the chain, which is RegCom, Regiment Commander. Basically it's the highest ranking student in the regiment, and then it branches down into other people who have responsibilities and duties, and it goes all the way down to the RA, and then it goes all the way down to each individual member of the regiment of cadets. So the regiment of cadets has uniforms. We have khakis, salt and peppers, dress blues, and on each given day when we have classes or if there's an activity going on, we're wearing one of these uniforms. So the regiment of cadets is similar to the military in that it is regimented, but it is not in any way affiliated with the United States military. So I'm going to branch off. Part of Reg is a mug, and a mug is a mariner under guidance. So mugs are your freshman class. They're basically unrecognized. So we in the school, we have first class, second class, third class, and fourth class, but the freshmen that are in the Reg are not recognized yet, so they're not a fourth class. They're a mug class, and they work to get recognized by the regiment. So they don't come in as fourth class, they come in as mugs. And basically by the behavior of the mug class as a composite, they can earn their class rank and they can earn certain privileges back as the year goes on. I'm going to make a more in-depth video about mugs later on, but basically mugs are bottom of the totem pole, and they don't really have a lot of respect in the school because they don't really command respect. They haven't gone on mug crews, they haven't even been in the school full year. They're sort of learning how everything works, and they sort of need to adapt to how the school works and how the school runs. So that's sort of why the mugs have to shave their heads. It strips them of their individuality and it indoctrinates them into the whole of the regiment. So stemming off from the regiment, we have licensed and non-licensed students. I'll explain non-licensed first because it is a lot less complicated. So non-licensed students are basically members of the regiment of cadets that wear the uniform, go to all the activities, participate in summer internships, but they don't go out on the ship with us in the summer, and they aren't going for a Coast Guard license. So now I'll go into what the license program is. So there's deck and there's engine. So engine is basically you're working in the engine room, you're making sure the engine room is operating and functioning on a ship, and you're studying throughout your 4 years to get a engine license to work on engine rooms once you graduate. So deck is basically you're doing all above deck operations on a ship, which would be ballasting, deballasting, anchoring operations, navigation, safety, just to name a few. So each of these deck and engine licenses is going to allow you to become an officer on a ship. So basically how the merchant marine and ships work is you need to have officers on the ship. So you can become an officer without going to a maritime academy, and they call that the hawse pipe. So you can go up the hawse pipe and earn your officer's license without going to a maritime academy. but doing that is going to take a lot more sea days and it's going to take a lot more time. But you can become an officer on a ship without going to a maritime academy. The 4-year program basically allows you to become an officer on a ship within 4 years through the Maritime Academy license programs. So the deck and engine license side of the school, at the end of their 4 years, they take what's called license, and they take the U.S. Coast Guard license exam for the merchant marine to become an officer. So the deck side, they'll become third mates, and the engine side, they'll become third assistant engineers. So they'll just be basically officers on a ship. So basically, when these two graduate, the deck and engine, they'll have the ability to work on a ship as an officer. So I've been talking about the U.S. Coast Guard license exam a lot, and I just want to clarify that you're not part of the Coast Guard if you go to a maritime academy. It's not affiliated. It's just that the Coast Guard, actually, they make the tests for the merchant marine. So they make the tests to become a third mate, a second mate, a first mate, and you have to pass the Coast Guard's tests. So just for comparison, a road on the United States, you have to get a driver's license. Well, basically, if you want to drive a ship in the ocean, then you need a third mate's license. And in the United States Coast Guard offers the examination, sort of like the DMV does for regular licenses on the road. So stemming off that, our school is not directly affiliated with the military in any way. The maritime academies are merchant marine schools, so basically we have the ability to work on commercial vessels if we get our licenses, so that's sort of what that is. So the maritime colleges aren't affiliated with the U.S. military, but if you attend a maritime college or are currently attending one, it could be a good jumping off point to go into some sort of U.S. military branch, because if you're part of the regiment of cadets, then it's a lot easier to jump into something like that. So on Maritime College, there is a NROTC unit, the Navy NROTC New York City unit. I am part of it. So with our NROTC program, we have our active duty Marines, our active duty Navy, and our reservist SSOs. So this is just a rough guide of how Maritime College works, and I didn't really go that in depth because this video would be hours long. So there's a lot of stuff that I omitted from this video, but there is a lot of stuff, minute stuff, that can make or break whether or not you want to come to this school. So I'm probably going to make more in-depth videos about the MUGs or the SSO program or ROTC or deck and engine licenses, but that was sort of just the rough flow chart, and this is what my flow chart looks like if you want to see. So even the kids at the school don't really know exactly how everything works, and if you're outside of the school, then it just gets very complicated. So I hope that this clears up any confusion for anyone out there. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. I'll try to make more in-depth videos if you have more specific questions, but that was just sort of the rough guide. This was sort of like the starting point, and I'll go more into depth into each different subject in later videos. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed this explanation or if it gave you any information whatsoever. Subscribe if you want to see any more maritime related content. If you're thinking about going to a maritime academy, if you are coming to Maritime Academy, even if it's not SUNY Maritime, subscribe, and I'll be making more videos explaining how all of this works. Thanks, guys.